Hey guys, it is Tim with Tabletop Terrors, and this is a very special live stream. I feel like you remember in those old sitcoms where they were going to talk about something super heavy, so they'd go on a very special episode of Family Matters. So I'm not going to do a rundown. I'm just going to get right into it. There has been this topic has been very polarizing. I think because we're an RPG channel, and some people are rightly curious as to why the heck we would be talking about weight loss. But that's what we're going to talk about today. And no, here's the first thing I want to point out. No matter what I say in this video, somebody's going to take a steaming crap on it, and that's okay, because this is what's working for me, and this is what, as simple as some of this stuff may sound, it's what I needed to hear. Because for me, and I'm not going to go into this whole thing like, well, I was the boy, but for me, I was trying so many things, and I was trying to be consistent, and I was unable to continue to lose weight. I was hitting the gym daily and trying to eat better, and I just didn't know exactly what to do. So I hope this goes well. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that this is something that works for you. Second disclaimer, though. This worked for me under the care of a physician. Do this at your own risk. I'm not a doctor. It's basic, simple stuff. So, Hankering for an Ale, actually, in a comment, mentioned, he said, push metal, eat clean, push metal. That's how you lose weight. And that's the end of the video. No, I want to define that eat clean part. So what I'm going to go through is a process that worked for me that, to me, it almost seems like magic. I'm losing weight, like I said, at a rate of about 3 pounds a week. And we can talk about what's working for you and so on, and there's probably a million different studies, but what I'm telling you is I tried so many things, and I was diligent. When I'm on a weight loss program, when I'm on a workout routine, I am a monster. I do not break it. I do not lack discipline. I'm very disciplined. And so I was turning all these dials, I was trying all these things, and it didn't work. Some people said, like, well, this is clickbait, or, and some people made good points. Tim, why are you talking about weight loss? Here's the thing. If this ain't your jam, tune out, but I'm going to jump in. Let me hit the chat up and see what's going on. Chris Wellham is here. Josh Glisson is here. Drake Warren is here. Jacob Norman says, I'm here, let's do this. Jacob Norman says, want to lose 2 pounds now? Lose that Seahawks jersey. Oh! One for Jake. Haha, JK, I don't sports. James Carney is here. Carol Dunster is here. Carol Dunster just got here. So, this entire diet revolves around something very simple. And it is the glycemic index. Basically how your body processes sugar. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is this is not a low-carb diet. This is not a low-carb diet. The thing is that low-carb diets, historically, and from what I've seen, they jack up people's hormones. They mess up your body's ability to process things properly, so that when you do finally starve and binge out, it's just like a wrecking ball to your whole digestive system and all that stuff. What this is specifically about is finding carbohydrates that have a low glycemic index. Okay, basically how your body processes sugar. This is like a trick. It's like a hack, because you can still have some carbohydrates and feel energy, but you have to make sure that the glycemic index is where it needs to be. This is called the slow carb diet. And this was popularized by a guy named Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is awesome. You should check out his stuff, period. But James actually got me hooked on Tim Ferriss. Super smart guy, does a great podcast. But my point to all this is low glycemic index carbohydrates, they pretty much include beans and vegetables. Now, before you dial out and go, what? What I'm saying is this. You can eat all the meat you want, you can eat all the vegetables you want, and then you supplement it with beans. And while this sounds ridiculous, I'm telling you that weight is falling off me like magic. Also, muscle mass is continuing to grow on my body because I'm giving it the appropriate amount of protein. So We're going to talk about the things you need to avoid, and we're going to talk about the things that you can eat. But let's check the chat. Rob Coletta's here. Nathan Crouch says, I think it's a great message. Carol Dunster, low glycemic index diets should be really healthy. So here's the way that it works. Here's the simple basic thing. Tim, get to the gist of it. You can essentially eat any meat, almost any vegetable, and then add a can of beans. And as simple as that sounds, you will feel full. You will feel, if you don't like beans, you can't do this. People ask that all the time. It's really, really difficult. Beans are the key. Beans are the magic trick. Because in the morning, I make some eggs. And guess what? If I'm doing a low-carb thing, which I've tried before, I feel shaky. I feel like it's not going to work. I'm not full. And then what do I want to do? I want to eat more, and I want to eat more. And then eventually, I grab something for lunch that's full of carbohydrates and sugar because I'm like, oh. It's because my body's crying out for carbohydrates. But instead of giving them the over-fluffed, over-sugared junk that I love, and we'll get to that soon, it's beans, man. Any kind of beans you can imagine. Now I should do the bubble gums. Like lima beans, field peas. I can't believe on the second one I switched the word bean. What a bad job I did at bubble gum. But this is it. And as crazy as this sounds, this is so easy to keep up with too. Pan-sear some chicken. Boom. You're done. Chicken. Vegetable. And the vegetables can be anything that isn't corn, almost. Corn is a grain. That is kind of a trick. It's a vegetable, but it's a grain, so that counts. That's a high glycemic index. So just go crazy. Mushrooms, squash, spinach, carrots, peas, green beans, black beans, red beans, white beans, lima beans. That is the core. And then I mix up what I do for my meats. By doing this, I'm telling you this, I do this for lunch, I do this for dinner, and then I eat like eggs and some other stuff for breakfast. Every week, I lose at least 3 pounds. Now, in addition to that, I'm drinking a ton of water. But it is like magic because I'm not starving. I just ate a bunch of delicious chili before I came out here. And because the chili was made with turkey meat, I use seasonings, a couple kinds of beans. Tomatoes are totally allowed. Drop some salsa in there, mix it up. Boom! That's what I ate for lunch. And I feel really full, and I won't feel hungry again until like 5 or 6. So this is huge. Let's see here. Jacob Norman says, I recently learned about carb choices. Basically, every 15 grams of carbs equals 1 carb choice. Each meal should be around 3 or 4 carb choices. Meat and such you want to add in. It's actually a diabetes diet. The pamphlet I got is 5th edition too. Haha, that's perfect. Dustin Mayfield, drink water at every meal, guys. Very important. You'll feel fuller longer. It's so true. Carol Dunster, how do energy drink works into that? Excellent question. So, what you're allowed is, I drink the rehab drinks, which are very, very low carbohydrate. I have one of those a day. It's got 10 calories and it's super low carbs. That works fine for me. You can't do a sugary regular energy drink. You can do the zero stuff, but you have to be very, very careful about how much artificial sweetener you put in your body as well. So basically, eliminate starches in anything sweet, including fruit. People ask, can you do fruit? No, not on this diet. Because it's such a high glycemic index. Well, can I have a banana? No, put down the banana. Grab some beans. I steadily, 2 times a day, I look like a hobo that lives on a boxcar eating beans out of a can with a plastic fork. And guess what? I've lost 30 pounds. 30 pounds in like 2 months. Like, I've tried so many things. I have tried all kinds of weight loss programs. The reason why I love this is because it kickstarted me into kind of this rapid, safe weight loss. Like, again, some people might come in here and say, dude, what the heck, man? This is stupid. This is simple. I wish I would have known this. Now, I'm going to give you the heartbreaker. Followed by the sweet, sweet goodness. Okay? So I'm going to follow this. The heartbreaker is all dairy products, you shouldn't be taking that dairy in. Cheeses, milks, all that stuff, it doesn't work the way it should with your body. In fact, I have a note here. So let's talk about specifically milk. the way that milk works is it is technically a low glycemic index food. The problem is it has a high insulinic response, 90 to 98. So it's discouraged because what happens is, even though it has a low glycemic index, it has a high insulinic response, so the results are very similar to eating cheeses and things like that. So, dairy is the hardest thing. When I tell people, okay, and then you give up dairy, they usually throw up their hands and are like, nope, because cheese is delicious. If there was a cheese energy drink, I'd probably drink it. I love cheese so much. So, that is the heartbreaker. You got to drop the dairy. Now, cottage cheese is allowed in limited amounts because it's high in protein and it doesn't spike your sugars. Let me give you the sweet, sweet goodness. Let me give you that old-time sweet goodness. Let me tell you what I do every Saturday. And this is required. This is not suggested. This is how the diet works. There is a core element to this regimen that must be followed, and it is that 1 day a week you have to indulge in a cheat day. There is a scientific reason behind this, okay? Basically, it's to spike your glycemic index. This is to regulate the hormones in your body and make sure your body kind of feels what it should be doing and keep those processes on their toes. But what this also does is when you, and I mean anything, on your cheat day, the rule is you wake up and you eat a relatively reasonable high-protein breakfast. So for me on a Saturday, my daughter's waking up, I'm getting up at like 7, couple eggs. You can have sausage on this diet, so you absolutely have eggs and sausage. Okay, boom. About an hour or two later, it's anything and everything goes. You can eat cake, pizza, so on and so on. Now, a couple of things are going to happen here. As you eat, you're going to feel the effect that carbs have on your body, and you're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. But by the end of that day, you're going to kind of feel like, wow, I feel like trash. Like, this is awful. But the next day, you're going to be bloated, full of salt, and probably 2 pounds heavier. The day 2 after cheat day, it's like the weight falls off you magically. You're going to have a couple of constitutionals. You're going to have a couple of BMs that are going to be indicative of what you ate. There's no two ways around that. But once that occurs, if you're drinking your water, it's like magic. And the reason why I say this is like magic is because I have personally done this for 2 months. I have followed this without a single variation. I have done this to the T, to the letter. And every week, there was 1 week that I only lost a single pound, but I think it was my weigh-in day was off because I switched my cheat day, because I weighed myself the next day and I had lost 3 pounds. So it was like I was in that flux. I lose an average of 3 pounds a week. I'm consistently full, and this is very, very easy to maintain regarding budget. It's meat, beans, and vegetables. That's it. That's the trick. But it's them beans, kids. It's them beans that keep you feeling full, and like you're like, oh, okay, because I'll eat an entire can of beans. Now, if you pour a can of beans onto a paper plate in the break room at your job, all of a sudden, you look like a pig. But if you eat them out of the can, it's like they're nice and narrow. Eat them. But I'll eat that whole can, and by the end, I'm like, whew. But then, I'm serious. When you wake up the next day and you feel skinnier, you're like, wow. And you keep doing this for a few days, a few weeks. By the first week, I lost 3 pounds, and I was like, wow, you lose water weight? Second week, 3 pounds. I was like, dude, I'm sold. So let's check the chat. All right. Carol says, does your drink have sweeteners in it? I don't do any artificial sweeteners at all. I don't think so. I don't think mine does. Melvin Victorio, if we're talking energizing drink, citric fruits are good, so a smoothie or juice mix made from different fruits a day is good. Let me tell you about citric fruits. Those are allowed. And there are all kinds of rules. This is actually bringing us about 2 things that I want to really hit on that I think are really important about the cheat day and about what you can figure out, like how you can eat and what you can eat. There are little gotchas. There are things that you can and can't have that I'm like, okay, well, what do you do? eSlowCarbDiet.com. eSlowCarbDiet.com. You go there and you type in, hey, can I eat this? You type it in, you hit the button. It says yes or no. Yes, you can have this. Yes, you can have this in limited amounts. It's a free website. I use it all the time. Again, The reason why I'm telling people this is because I wish somebody told me this. To me, it's like a hack. And it's essentially eating clean, like Hankering for an Ale said. But this is a very clear definition of what eating clean is. It's getting all the sugars and processed junk out of your body, which your body absorbs as sugar and turns it into fat so fast you'll go blind, literally, if you're diabetic, that I was like, oh, it's that easy? Because I've tried low carb, and I tried low carb for like 30 days, and it failed miserably for me. I was always hungry. I was always tired. I was always wanting to cheat. With this, it's consistent. I can stick to this very easily. This is very easy to work in with my spouse. So my wife, she can have whatever she wants, and then I can alter it. Now, I want to go back to those two things I wanted to mention about the cheat day. And the first thing I mentioned was that website, slowcarbdiet.com. Type it in there. Can you eat it? Yes or no? Boom, went the dynamite. The second thing I want to bring up, and this is huge, is that what you eat, while you will lose weight, you have to be conscious of your cholesterol levels. You have to be conscious of your blood pressure. High sodium foods like refried beans are allowed. They're very high in salt. So just know that this is not magic, okay? My point is, this is not... Oh, and also, here's a good sign for this diet. Bacon is limited. You know, on some Atkins diets and things like that, they're like, yeah, eat as much bacon as you want. That was always a red flag to me. This, you may eat bacon, but in limited quantities, mainly because bacon is often cured with sugars. Same thing with jerky. You think, oh, I'm going to grab some beef jerky, healthy snack. Wrong. Most beef jerky is very high in carbohydrates because it's cured with sugars. And because my wife is diabetic, so this is easy for us to implement anyway. But I just want to warn people that, yes, while things are technically allowed, can you sustain yourself on sausage? No. Your heart rate and your blood pressure and your cholesterol are going to just be awful. So you have to balance it. Like a trick I'll do is I'll take some bacon and I'll cook it up and then have it to add to some other things that might not taste as good during the week. So if I can have like one slice of bacon a day, well, I just chop that up and put it on some green beans, and then it's great. So those are some big key elements, is that this isn't magic in that way. The rest of your body's chemistry is informed by what you put in it. There's no changing that. Let's take some more looks at the chat here. Carol Dunster, not even my tablespoon of half and half in my coffee. Check it out. Go on there and type in half and half or dairy creamer and see what it is. Melvin says, with dairy products, try keeping a healthy yogurt and some milk is good. Anything else is probably a trap. Dustin says, I wish you were my gym buddy. Carol says, please do put the name of the guy you mentioned at the beginning of the video in the description so I can look him up. Absolutely. Chris Wilhelm, that sucks. I love ultra-filtered milk for the protein. That's tough. That's a tricky one. That is tricky. And, yeah, that's a tough one. I started using really cold water with my protein shakes, because protein shakes are allowed if they're not derivative of some sort of grain. Like, you know, you have to be careful what you buy and what you eat and what you put in your body. Carol, his name is Tim Ferriss. The diet is called the slow carb diet, and the book is the 4-Hour Body. Right, exactly. James said it right there. Chris Williams says, what kind of beans? Please say kidney. You can absolutely have kidney beans. You can have literally anything that says the word bean in it. I think that maybe chickpeas might be like too dense calorically for what you get. Melvin Victorio says, also keep in mind that the brain can be easily tricked. The human doesn't need that many calories per day, so portion sizes are of importance. Often you feel hungry, but your body doesn't really need that much. That's true too, and honestly, so here's another study. This is autonomous of this diet's actual research, but I read this paper and then I saw the YouTube video on it. There was a study that was done where people they just agreed to a study on eating habits. They didn't know exactly what they were agreeing to. And in that study, one part of the group was not force-fed, but they were encouraged to eat extra carbohydrates. The other was encouraged to eat more proteins and vegetables. The group who was encouraged to eat extra carbohydrates was able to eat an average of 7,000 extra carbohydrates a day, whereas the group who were encouraged to eat more meat and vegetables were only able to stomach an extra 1,000 calories. So, Melvin, I agree with what you're saying, and I think part of it is because I love carbs. I love French fries. I love every carb. I love donuts. Oh, I love all the carbs. If I was running for president, I would be, like, my campaign would be, I'd run my campaign off carbs. I'm pro-carb. But I understand what they do to my body. I understand how they trick my body, and I understand that putting them in now that I realize this, essentially, you eat them, and that's why it's essentially a trigger food, because your body isn't programmed to say, hey, we've had enough with carbs. It just doesn't work that way. However, if you eat meat and vegetables, that goes off like this. So, Mike Stafford is here. Carol Dunster says, I'm sure kidney beans are in there, Chris. They are. Lawrence Kentworthy, I'm sitting here thinking, wow, this sounds like a good idea while eating Haribos. What are Haribos? Is that a kind of bean? Chris Wilhelm, I'm classic chicken, brown rice, and broccoli, bro, so this sounds pretty good. Chris, that's perfect. The only thing you do, cut out the brown rice, throw in a bean. You do that, I'm telling you, man, it sounds crazy. You do that for a week, and then you have to do the cheat day, which is fun, because then you get to plan it, and you don't feel guilty. That's the other thing. When it's measured, monitored, metered cheating, you feel great, because you're like, yeah, I'm planning on this. Like, I went to a breakfast buffet my last cheat day. I wrecked it like Apocalypse from the 1990 X-Men cartoon. Like, I went in there and shut that place down. They were like, no more flapjacks, and I ate more flapjacks. Dustin Mayfield, Tim, you probably need to mention that the best thing to consult a doctor before doing anything drastic. Dustin, I said that at the top of the video, my man. Because different people have different needs. Yes, I did say that at the beginning of the video, so absolutely do that. I'm not a doctor, and I mentioned that at the beginning of the video, but I will say it again. I'm not a physician. Everyone has different needs, but this is what's working for me, and I believe will work for many if it's safe. I also did this under the care of a physician. I visited my doctor before I began this, and I visited my doctor earlier this week, and she was stunned because she's seen my weight loss battles and what I've tried, and I'm not kidding you. You can ask James. I've done the P90X consistently, laid off of fast food, counted calories consistently, worked out consistently. Like, I'm not looking for a hack. I'm not looking for an easy way. Like, I'm talking, at one point, just recently, when I was even getting at my fattest, I was working out twice a day. But for me, the knobs I was turning, the things I was doing, the cause and effect I was using for my body just wasn't working for me. Let's see here. Lawrence says, haha, no, Haribos are sweet. I'm not healthy. Carol says, by the way, my husband is a type 1 insulin-dependent diabetic, so I've looked into a lot of them and are familiar with the glycemic index and how it works. I really like the way this is laid out. So I want to talk to you now. I'm going to close up with a couple of things. The first thing is, do what you want. Obviously, don't listen to me if you don't want to. Some people, it was very polarizing because I chose to post this video in tabletop RPG communities. I understand people's chagrin with Tabletop Terrors sharing a weight loss video. I won't argue that. But what I will argue is that I think that there are a lot of people in the gaming community who are stereotyped as being fat nerds and sweaty geeks. And I think that it's a stereotype in our community and with the kind of people that I hear. Whether it's on your personal Facebook wall or in personal messages to me, because I talk about going to the gym, I've heard multiple people tell me they're not happy with their weight, they don't know what to do, they're working at it. Now, there are also a handful of people who are killing it and doing a really good job of dropping a ton of weight. So I want to walk you through that logic and say, listen, and I'm not going to do this a lot. This is going to be it, and I actually did kind of poll, like, hey, do you guys want to hear something like this? I got a positive response from many people saying, yeah, I'd like to hear this. But again, a lot of people aren't going to go and pick up the book. It's called The 4-Hour Body. A lot of people aren't going to go and do their own research, so I'm trying to give you the hack. I'm trying to give you the easy way, which is a meat, a bean, and a vegetable. So for me, breakfast, and I'm just going to walk you through a typical day, and then we're going to go through some fringe science that if you want to get that extra 5% weight loss, this is where I'm going to lose a lot of people, and they're going to think that I'm crazy. But I tried a month with these things and a month without, and my weight loss was, again, it was about 3% higher. So 3% is worth it for me. So I go to the grocery store. I just buy, essentially, because I have 6 days, I buy 12 cans of beans. One for lunch, one for dinner. So I just pick 12 cans of beans. Beans are cheap. That's it. So that's going to subsidize. Then I do the same thing. Can you eat canned vegetables? Can you eat frozen vegetables? Yes. Be careful that the vegetable's not canned in sugar. But super. And just grab, again, because you need it for breakfast. No. Yeah, the vegetables I guess you could do for breakfast, depending. Most people don't like to do that. But grab another 12 things of vegetables, whether that's cans, bags, however you want to rock that. That's it. Now is the fun part. Now it's picking out your meats. And the meats can be whatever you want. I will say I use seasonings, I use sauces, and even though some of them aren't technically on the diet, like I'll use an Asian sauce, like a hoisin sauce or something, that might have a little sugar in there, a little carbs. To me, this is about what I'm doing 80% of the time. About 80% of the time, it's what really makes the difference. And I am in a weight loss challenge at work, so I weigh in every week. And on every Wednesday, since I started this, I've lost an average of 3 pounds. But then you choose your meats. You go and you go steak, pork. I mean, and I made a list here. It's pretty ridiculous what you can have. Well, let me talk about vegetables. Cauliflower, broccoli, eggplant. I mean, any of that stuff. The main thing you want to do is avoid corn, and carrots are kind of on the line because of where they spike your glycemic index. And then the other thing is that you've got your proteins, like shrimp is a big one because it thaws so quickly. So your shrimp, steak, pork chops, all that stuff, just cook it however you want. I typically pan fry it, finish it in the oven. I make double so that I have leftovers for the next day for lunch. So that's how I work it. So I go to the store, I get all that stuff, I get my meats, and then I go home. Cook my steak, all right, boom, in the cast iron skillet, finish it in the oven. Some black beans and some spinach. And that's what I eat, and it's delicious. After that, I take half the steak, put it in a little Tupperware, and then I drop in my lunchbox, a can of vegetables, and a can of beans. That's my lunch for the next day. Then I come home, repeat. And that's how I stay consistent with it. Now, let's talk about some fringe stuff. This is where I think, like I said, this is where I'm going to get a lot of people going, what? What are you talking about? Oh, this doesn't work. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are some supplements that you can take. They're very cheap. They're all natural. You get them at Vitamin World. So you don't have to go to bodybuilding.com or anything like that. But this fringe stuff, I'm telling you, I tried it a month without this and a month with this stuff. And this was, like I said, if you're looking for an extra 2 or 3% fat loss, then stick with this. The first thing is, the first thing you're going to do is called, well, you know what? I'm not even going to go into all that. I'll link it below. But basically, there are 4 herbal supplements you take that do different things. One is a free radical blocker. One of them is to help you with your cholesterol as you're eating more of these meats. One of them helps to allow your cells to regenerate quicker. Basically, it's just these supplements that I'll put in there. But I'm going to tell you about 2 more fringe things that I thought were interesting. Love them or hate them, they work. At the end of the night before you go to bed, get all natural peanut butter. All natural peanut butter. So the label has to say, like, oil, peanuts, salt. Like, it can't be one of the high fructose versions. You take a tablespoon and you eat a tablespoon of peanut butter. And what that does is it keeps your glycemic index, your resting glycemic index, where it needs to be as you sleep. So right before bed, tablespoon of peanut butter, some water. Boom. Sleep. When you wake up, the first thing you should do is drink 2 fluid cups of ice cold water. So that's it. 2 fluid cups of ice cold water, and then you have your breakfast. Now, you drink a ton of water throughout the day, but there's one more thing that's going to sound ridiculous. Take an ice pack and put it on the back of your neck for 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening. The studies have been linked, and this was studied by NASA and Tim Ferriss. The reason why swimmers need so much as far as calories isn't just because they're burning calories in the pool. It's because the pools are usually so cold. Cold releases a chemical called adiponectin. And the way that adiponectin works is it essentially obliterates fat. So that's one of the reasons why swimmers stay so shredded. So you take this ice pack. Now, an alternative to this is taking a cold 5-minute shower. That's not easy. That's not easy to do. It will wake you up, though. But I take an ice pack, and I put it on the back of my neck as soon as I get to work, and I leave it there for 30 minutes. You can take it on and off and so on, But then before I go to bed, I do it for 30 minutes. Is it crazy? Maybe. Is it placebo? Perhaps. But there's science in the book that Tim Ferriss wrote to back this up, and it seemed to work for me to gain an increase in weight loss. So I'm going to continue to do it, because no matter the reason that I got a 3% gain, I'm not going to take that away. Alan Holloway is here. Chris Wilhelm says, seasoning is key. If it stays the same, you'll get bored and fail. Absolutely. Jacob Norman says, I gotta go, but I've saved this for later. Dustin, gotta go, Tim. You rock. Keep doing what you're doing. Good luck, everyone, in their endeavors. Peace. Carol, Mike, it's a low glycemic index diet called slow carb. Mike, I may have missed the beginning of this video, but the general gist is to replace carbs with beans. I'll have to watch it from the beginning so it stops being live. That's exactly what the gist is. You replace carbs with beans until your cheat day, and on your cheat day, you just go nuts. You do whatever you want. Something else you can do on your cheat day is about 30 minutes after you eat, make sure you mix some cinnamon with some water, about a teaspoon, not a tablespoon, but a teaspoon of cinnamon. Mix it up as good as you can and then try to slug it. And that keeps your sugars relatively reasonable. Don't take more than that because it'll thin your blood. Carol Dunster, Paul eats almonds every night to keep from blood sugar crashes. That's another good one. So, I don't know. Was this helpful? Hopefully it was. I'm telling you that I'm wearing clothes that haven't fit me since when I first got married. And I'm telling you that this is the other thing. Oh, man. It's going to be thumbs down all day. I don't care. If this helps one person, then this helps one person. You don't really work out on this diet. You don't really work out. There's a very basic, when I say basic, you do a couple of air squats, you do some wall push-ups twice a day. It takes about 5 minutes. But to test it in this third month, I stopped working out. And so far, my first week, I've lost as much weight as my highest weight loss week, the previous, 3.6 pounds. And so I'm not even working out at all. That's why I'm able to do these live streams. I haven't been going to the gym. And so, am I saying don't work out? No. There's an overall level of fitness to be achieved. But for me, I'm hyper-focusing and I'm targeting it on fat loss. And when you are doing this diet, you have to be very careful that you don't put in less food than what you're burning in calories and those low carbs, those slow carbs we're putting in there. If you do that, your body goes into starvation mode, and then you're stuck in the loop that I was in, which is going to the gym, lifting crazy, doing cardio, all this other stuff, and being in this constant loop of then putting the wrong stuff in my body and getting the results that keep me in the same place or gaining weight. So hopefully this makes sense to everybody. Hopefully it's helpful, but I do this 6 days a week, and it's become relatively easy. It's become a part of my habits. I love making all kinds of chilies. You can do, and then again, doing all different kinds of ethnic versions of food. Shrimp in an Italian dish with like spaghetti squash versus shrimp in a Mexican dish, or shrimp in an Indian dish. Like all these things, you just keep changing it up. Now, I'm a little bit of a cheat when it comes to, I gotta stay on this thing. I gotta have flavor, like Chris Wilhelm said. So for me, I'll take a little bit of a sugary tikka masala sauce and just go, you know what? It's about what I'm doing 80% of the time. This tikka masala isn't what made me fat. One serving of a little bit of a sugary sauce isn't going to kill me. Now, is that a mindset that you can use? Maybe. Some people don't have the self-control to do that. They do it at every meal, destroying the principle and making the diet fall down. So I think that it's okay to say, oh, okay, like I'll give you an example. Where were we? It was like last week, and I think we were at a wedding a couple weeks ago. I had a piece of the cake. It wasn't my cheat day, but I'm at a wedding, and I don't want to be rude, and I was like, absolutely, I'll have some cake. I had a little bit of cake. And guess what? I still lost the same amount of weight because it's about what you're doing most of the time. And some people get so fixated on it, which doesn't make any sense to me, the psychology, but it's like, well, I made one mistake, I better quit. It's not about what you're doing. It's about what you're doing most of the time, not the small mistakes you make. So if you're doing this and you're like, okay, I start, and 2 days in, you realize you didn't buy enough beans, do what you can. Have those Arby's curly fries that your coworker bought you. We both know you're going to do it. The trick is, don't then quit after that. Say, well, I ruined it. No, you didn't. You're already doing much better than you were because you have 80% less junk and carbs in your body. So then say, all right, hey, no worries. Tonight on my way home, I'm going to run by the grocery store, stock up on some more beans. And it's fun to cook steak or a delicious cut of fish. So for Sundays, what we'll do is I'll often make it a special day. So if Saturday is my cheat day, Sunday is like my weaning back on day where, I'll do some lobster or like a really nice cut of fish or something. It's like a little treat day because it's still a delicious protein, but I'm not going to eat that all week. I can't afford that. Carol Dunster says, I hit the weight I am now and just quit losing weight. Been there before, and once I'll give this a try and see how it goes. Absolutely, man. Nathan Like is also here. Nathan Like actually made a comment. It was really funny when I was telling it was a Provokers game, and I was talking about all the stuff I ordered at McDonald's, like $30, $40 worth of McDonald's, and he was genuinely concerned. He's like, hey, man, he's like, watch your heart. And so I am, and I'm feeling great. Like, let me tell you what put me over the edge and made me decide to actually do this stream. I want to share this with you guys. Our church's 17th anniversary was this last Sunday. And there was this obstacle course that was for adults and kids, one of those inflatable ones. And for the first time since my daughter's been born, I was able to run around in there with her and actually keep up. I was ducking and climbing things, and that's just not how my life has been, man. That's just not how it's been. I've been carrying around a lot of extra weight. I've been kind of hand-waving it like, oh, it's muscle, stuff like that. But this is what's working for me. If you're in a different place, if this isn't, there's information and there's revelation. If you just take this as information and you're like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not for you. But if this is revelation, if this is that thing that's like, yeah, that's life. That's what I need to try. That's what this was for me. This thing was the thing I needed. And it could have been a beautiful combination of the psychology of it, the regimented kind of structure, the science, me liking the dude that wrote it and giving it a shot. Like, there's a lot of different things that lined up for me to really be in on this. But for you, if this isn't seeming like a thing that makes sense to you, or if you're like, hey, this is an RPG channel, who in the hot H, which is Houston, where Chris Wilhelm is, who in the hot Houston are you to tell me how to eat? I'm not telling you how to eat. I'm telling you how I ate, and I'm telling you how I felt, and I'm telling you that I was dealing with, every time I would watch a Tabletop Terrors video, I would think, man, I'm getting fatter. And plenty of people were like, hey, man, don't get down on yourself. I really wasn't, like, depressed. I wasn't thinking, like, I'm ugly. But I was genuinely, because there was a time where I had a six-pack. Right before I got married, I was doing the P90X. That was, like, going on 7 years ago. But I was doing the P90X, and I was fairly, I wasn't, like, shredded, but I was in great shape. I was wearing medium T-shirts. Now I wear an extra large. And so I would see pictures of myself from back then and just be like, whoa, like, what's going on? And then I thought, I got to stop putting this off. Because that's another thing that I do. And I'm sure you guys do it too. It's like, yeah, on just one of these days. And it's like, you got to have the body you want right now. Because you're still around to enjoy it. You still have the opportunity to enjoy it. If you wait till one of these days, you're missing out on precious moments of running around and enjoying it better. I sleep better. I feel better. My energy levels are higher. So anyway, hopefully this helps. And to those who don't like it, no worries. It's not for you. It's not for you. It's just information. But to those who, for this is revelation, go with it. And can you find 5, 7, maybe 10 different things as to, well, what about this? And that doesn't make sense. And I read an article on the science, and it's like, listen, it's working for me. So I don't care what anyone else says or what articles say or this and research shows and Harvard, Yale, and blah, blah, Republican, Democrat, this, that, and the other thing. This is working for me. And it's the first thing that's worked for me in nearly a decade. So I'm excited about it. I'm evangelizing it. Because if I can find one Tim out there who's sitting stagnant in their workday at a computer desk and then in their home life, sitting around, and if I can reach them and go, hey, it's pretty easy. Just change this. You like beans, don't you, fatty? I would say that to me saying it to Tim. I'm not calling anybody else out there fatty. But my point being is that if I can say, hey, this can work for you, and connect with somebody, and they go, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's just made me a much happier person. So, again, I hope this works out. I'll check the chat one final time, and then I'm gonna exit out. But you know what, too? I'm carnying it. I'm gonna say one more thing before I say one more thing. Just open your mind. There was some tangible resistance when I posted in the groups, not just because the good reason. The good reason is I had no business posting this in those RPG groups. Truly. It was a peripheral reason that was a stretch, and the mods were cool about it. That's awesome. Win. But theoretically, following the rules as written, I should not have posted this post in those groups. But there was some resistance beyond that. There was some, I don't need you to tell me how to eat. Open your mind. Give it a shot. There was a lot of, let me be very clear too, there was a lot of really warm, awesome responses. And I think overall, like 90% of the response was, yes, this is awesome. Please do. This is great. We support you, etc. But overall, if I'm talking to you and you have questions about this, like, we talked about it. It's Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Body, the slow carb diet. You can go on Wikipedia and find it. slowcarbdiet.com to find out what you can and can't eat. There's even, if you do a slow carb diet cheat sheet, there's kind of like a cheat sheet of what you can do and when you can eat and all that stuff. The trick is, if you follow most of this, most of the time, you will stumble into weight loss. If you follow most of this all the time, weight will fall off you. I don't think anybody can follow all of it all the time. I'm doing as good of a job as I can. I'm very close, but like I just said, I had some cake. It's not on there. Yeah, that's not on there. So let's check the chat one final time. Let's go back to the top. Stephen Back is here. He goes, Tim. Carol Dunster, it's a lot easier to lose weight and get strong while you're younger. It gets harder as you age. I recommend you all go for it. Stephen Back says, I missed your live stream. Nook. Man, those Ks. You just love adding those Ks on extra. Jill Monroe, might have missed it, but what are you doing for breakfast? Me personally, so the first thing is, so that you know this, in my family and in Absolute Tabletop and my friends, I'm barely human. So I have this reputation for being barely human, which means that I'm like Nick from New Girl. So I'm setting you up to say that I can happily and easily eat lunch for breakfast. So when I'm feeling lazy or I don't want to get up and cook, I just eat yesterday's leftover for breakfast. I'll be like, hey, breakfast, pork chop, beans, and green beans. I know a lot of people can't do that. So what I would suggest is, eggs and salsa. Salsa's my breakfast bro, because salsa's totally allowed. Make sure you don't get one with a bunch of corn and sugar in it, but you take eggs, and you can make like 3 eggs. Watch the cholesterol, etc. Like we talked about. Watch the salt. You can season it. This is a kind of interesting one. This is kind of off the deep end, so let me actually give you a more regular recipe. Some eggs, a little bit of salsa in there. You can't do cheese, but I'll do that, and some breakfast sausage. You're good to go. Start with 2 glasses of ice cold water, and you'll find yourself feeling already like, wow, I'm kind of awake and feel kind of full. And then when you put the eggs, the sausage in there, a little bit of salsa, and occasionally I'll add spinach to the eggs. But that's pretty quick. If you're feeling adventurous, just think about all the stuff you can have. You can have steak and eggs. The one I was going to mention is, listen, this might be gross to some people. I love Old Bay, the crab seasoning. I will have, because shrimp pretty much come pre-cooked. The bags I get, it's like at Walmart, it's like $6.99 for a bag of large, deveined, peeled shrimp. They're super fast to thaw, too. So I could take those from the freezer, put them in hot water, and in minutes, they're thawed. But usually I'll keep some thawed in the fridge. I'll drop some shrimp into the eggs with some Old Bay and have like shrimp and eggs. That might be disgusting to some people. I'm sorry if it is. But it's really good and it's filling. But yeah, that's probably it. I mean, eggs are the biggest staple. You can also have like a tablespoon of peanut butter and do some fresh vegetable. I don't know. It's kind of hard, like celery and peanut butter if you want to go that route. But eggs are kind of my jam, unless you like breakfast for lunch. No. Lunch for breakfast, which is something that I'm happy to do and I don't mind doing. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that answers that. Carol Dunster says, love me some Carney. Richard Harris says, thanks for the heads up. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Carol Dunster says, I don't need you to tell me how to eat. Then don't watch the video. Sheesh. Stephen Back says, if people aren't open to any advice, they aren't willing to put in the work either. It's true. Aaron Bryant, what's up? Chris Wilhelm. I used to be a male model leaving the Navy. So similar boat, Tim. Can't beat yourself. Just push yourself forward and find the new best you. That's it, man. And I could see you as a male model. But yeah. I'm envisioning it now. Drop abs. Salsa for the win. Stephen Back says, I like 1 egg and 2 or 3 egg whites, all the fat in the yolk, so it's the taste, though. Totally, man. And that's the other thing. Look, I'm barely human. I eat all of it. I want it all. I want that flavor. In fact, let me give you, this is another breakfast hack. I'll make 1 scrambled egg and put a over medium egg on top of it so I can break it and eat the yolk with the scrambled egg. Carol Dunster says, bell peppers cut up in your eggs allowed, all that stuff. Any vegetable, mushrooms in your eggs. I'll even use, like, occasionally, because like I said, breakfast sausage is allowed. You just got to watch it. You can also have bacon. So if you want to make a little no cheese omelet where you make the egg, you put some sausage in there, some bacon, fold it over with some vegetables, and it's very filling. Aaron Bryant says, shrimp and egg sounds amazing. Dude, I dig it. Chris Wilhelm says, for anyone short on time, you can pre-scramble eggs the night before. That's actually a really, really, really good point. I've also seen, now this is you gotta be careful that everyone in the house knows what's happening. But I've seen people scramble the eggs and put it in a pitcher. I don't know how long they keep like that, but if you do it like he said, it basically, the night before or 2 nights in a row, you scramble the eggs, so you just pour it in. Carol Dumpster. Ab tabs. I like it. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to end it here. Hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it's something that hit its mark. Hopefully it lived up to what I said. Like I said, for me, this is magic. Beans, vegetable, meat. 3 meals a day. It's that easy. Throw in some eggs. But, again, go to eslowcarbdiet.com to find out, it's free. They have some paid stuff on there. I'm not shilling it. I don't know. I think they have a cookbook and stuff, but you can look up all kinds of recipes. Again, it's called the Slow Carb Diet, popularized by Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Body. But anyway, keep on, let's see, one more comment here. A diet high in liquids, i.e. broths that aren't too salty, is a good idea. It helps metabolize faster and get nutrients quickly. John Allen Large joined from Red Dice Diaries. He, how did he word it? He said something like, I could choose, I could use to push around some timber myself or something. But John, I know John Allen Large was doing some yoga and he was losing a lot of weight. So John, I hope that's still going well for you, man. But again, hopefully this video hits home with some people. It's been working for me. I know it sounds like, well, what are you selling something? No, you know what I'm selling? I'm selling hope to the people like me who are like, yeah, next crash diet. Here we go. Oh, and the beauty of this, Christmas and Thanksgiving are your cheat days. You just plan that. That's happening. And I'm going to sit there guilt-free and eat a whole cheesecake. No, I'm not saying you should eat a whole cheesecake. But I'm saying you should definitely know that because that's built in, you just slide that around. And then the holidays aren't going to cripple your weight loss progress. But this has worked for me. Overall, I've lost 33 pounds, I think, now. And I've done it safely. It's been healthy. It's been about 2 months and 2 weeks. And so I'm really excited about that because those numbers are numbers that I've been trying to achieve for a long time, and I've been unable to do so. And now I feel like it's just kind of happening. And you know what, too? I hit that threshold where people started noticing. I hit that threshold where people started saying, you're losing a lot of weight. And that's like the weight loss dream, right? You don't have to tell people, yeah, I've been losing weight. I lost 2 pounds. But I've lost enough weight to where when I see people, like, wow, I'm digging into that closet, wearing stuff I haven't been able to wear in years. Poor James, because some of it still doesn't quite fit me. So I'll have to, I'm pulling down my belly shirt in a Tabletop Terrors video, but he has to see it. He has to see my hairy hobbit belly. But Stephen Back says, love it, Tim. This is my jams right now. Dude, do it big. Yeah, man, I can see it in your cheeks. Thanks, dude. Yeah, and I'm telling you, just clothes are fitting differently. I feel great. My pants I had to buy a new belt, which always feels really good. I'm like, whoa. So some of the pants that I was wearing are now like cinched on, like hillbilly rope belt style. Anyway, I'm just rambling because I love talking to you guys. I appreciate your support, and I hope this video does something for you. I hope it helps. I hope these resources work for you like they work for me. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm not going to stop. My goal weight, because right now I'm at 244. I just weighed in today. No, 243. I'm at 243, and that's huge for me because when I started this, as you can tell by doing your own math, I was in the 270s. And, you know, I told myself, oh, it's muscle. Some of it's muscle. And I was like, yeah, some of it. But anyway, I'm down to 244. And I'm going to keep going. My target weight is looking healthy and trim. Like, I don't know if I have a number in mind. I think the magic number that I've always been told that like is thrown around by bodybuilders and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm a lean 220. I think with my frame, I could probably pull off a lean 220, 230. Even at 230, another 10 pounds, I think I'm going to be, you know, probably close to where I need to be. And my goal is to do that in another 3 months. So you've got all of November, December, and then January. So hopefully going into January, I'm going to be near my target weight. So anyway, guys. Carol says, yeah, he looks great, doesn't he? Well, thanks. Chris Wilhelm says, the new belt is the best. I got a new one, and I lose a few more inches, I'll need another. That's it, man. And then nail them to the back of your wall like living sacrifices from Fight Club. I had a goal weight, past it. Now I'm looking, there it is. Now I'm looking at goal form, not weight. That's perfect, Stephen. Numbers are fickle. They are. And that's why I'm just like, I want to feel good. I want to look good. And I want to be able to run around the playground with my daughter. So anyway, you guys are awesome. If I keep talking, you'll stick around. And if you stick around, I'll keep talking. But again, thank you. And I wish you luck, no matter what you decide to do. I wish you luck. And I hope that whatever you're doing works for you. And I hope that you live healthy, happy, long lives. And until next time, may your weight drop low.